Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me. Awesome show planned for you today. I got a fire starter that's going to be unbelievable on LeBron James. TJ Moe in studio with me. Steve Kim's going to join me via Skype. We'll have some justice for TT as well, focused in on Kamala Harris. And we'll hear from an a social media meme creator, content creator. He goes by the name of Mr. Reagan. He's going to help me out with justice for TT as it relates to Kamala Harris. So stay tuned for all of that. Make sure you're also checking out the extra Fearless content on Blaze TV. Go to blazetv.com/fearless. Use the promo code FEARLESS to receive a $20 savings on your yearly subscription to Blaze TV. Thank you so much for doing that. And as we begin most shows, we got to thank Good Ranchers, because this episode is brought to you by our good friends at Good Ranchers. Use my promo code FEARLESS at goodranchers.com. And with your subscription, you can claim $25 off your first box, free express shipping, and a free add-on for 4 years. 4 years. 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Choose from chicken breast, Angus ground beef, applewood bacon, or wild-caught salmon. Thank you, Good Ranchers, for allowing this greatness to transpire. Let's get right into our fire starter. Let's start with, I was not a fan of LeBron James being selected as flag bearer for Team USA at the Paris Olympics. It bothered me for reasons well beyond James's history of kneeling during the national anthem in support of George Floyd and other career criminals who lost their lives resisting arrest. I was bothered because I knew it would inevitably lead to someone comparing LeBron James to Muhammad Ali, who famously lit the torch at the 1996 Atlanta Olympic Games. Sure enough, my old friend Dan Le Batard stepped up and made the ridiculous comparison. On his popular podcast, the former ESPN and Miami Herald journalist called James today's Muhammad Ali. Take a listen.
I don't think we understand how unfair we've been to excellence during an era. Over the last 20 years, social media, mocking people. He was always chasing Michael, always chasing Michael. To see him holding that American flag, and that flag means something different than it did 20 years ago, but the thing holding it doesn't, it's still excellence for 20 years. Today's Ali. And you know how hard it is to tackle Michael Jordan as America's ultimate winner? Not even Brady could do it, because he wasn't first. We have watched for 20 years somebody who holds that American flag in the middle of the Olympics, and once upon a time, right, because we don't treat Team USA this way. We don't treat anymore what it is that we're watching of this team and make it feel like it did when it was Jordan and Barkley. But imagine Michael Jordan at the end of everything, not shooting jumpers for the Wizards, older than any athlete out there and still deserving of holding the flag. How emotional you would have been watching it because you're so much nicer to him.
So today's Muhammad Ali, that's a sad statement about today, far more than it is praise of LeBron James. King James is not Muhammad Ali. I'm going to explain that after I share a bit of context, a little transparency. A decade ago, as the editor-in-chief of ESPN's The Undefeated, I devised a plan to examine LeBron James's pursuit of a legacy that rivaled Muhammad Ali's. I surmised that in the aftermath of LeBron's 4-year, 2-championship stint in Miami, that James and Nike had changed targets. They would no longer position James as the successor to Air Jordan's throne. In order to sell sneakers at the level of Michael Jordan, LeBron needed a new historical narrative. He pivoted to Muhammad Ali, the man regarded as the greatest, despite suffering 5 losses in the boxing ring. Ali's courage and standing outside the ring rendered his losses to Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, Leon Spinks, Larry Holmes, and Trevor Berbick meaningless. If LeBron could strengthen his profile as an activist, he could erase the stench of his poorly executed 2010 exit from Cleveland and the subsequent 2011 NBA Finals meltdown against the Dallas Mavericks. The Decision, James's much-hyped televised choice to take his talents to South Beach, and his embarrassing performance against Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavs did severe damage to James's brand. Those two incidents made it impossible for the chosen one to rival Jordan as a competitor, performer, or sneaker pitchman. Rather than accept his plight, James and Nike chose to scale a larger mountain, Muhammad Ali. The pivot began in 2011 when James and Nike began formulating plans for the I Promise School in Akron, a school for disadvantaged kids with unstable home environments. James's foundation financed a small percentage of the school while receiving a much larger percentage of the credit for launching it. In early 2012, James and Nike unveiled the second step in the rebranding of LeBron. James dipped his toe into activism, leading his Miami Heat teammates into donning hoodies in support of Trayvon Martin, the Black Florida teen who was shot and killed after pounding George Zimmerman's head into the ground. By 2017, James was a full-blown social justice warrior. He claimed that vandals spray painted the N-word on the back gate of his $20 million mansion in Brentwood, California. He provided no proof. His servants removed the graffiti before police could investigate, before James could return to California and see it for himself. James used the alleged incident to analogize himself to the mother of Emmett Till, the 14-year-old boy who was brutally murdered in Mississippi in 1955. So let's think this through. James's servants removed the alleged graffiti within hours. Emmett Till's mother lost her teenage son. It's difficult for me to follow LeBron's analogy there. It's equally difficult for me to believe that anyone in 2024 thinks LeBron James is the modern-day Muhammad Ali. He's not. Off the court, James is a complete and total fraud. Nothing could be more obvious. James is a great basketball player. He's one of the 5 or 6 best players of all time. I rank him below Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird. I never saw Bill Russell play personally, but I'm open to the possibility that Russell was better than LeBron James. As it relates to athletes and off-the-field importance, James isn't on the same planet as Ali, Jim Brown, Arthur Ashe, Bill Bradley, Jack Kemp, or Joe Louis. James is the antithesis of Muhammad Ali. As an activist, James faces zero resistance. He's never been tasked with defending his unsophisticated political opinions against a journalistic adversary. Ali engaged and confronted his adversaries on college campuses, during televised interviews, and even in his relationship with Howard Cosell. James ducks resistance. He and Clutch Sports represent and finance members of the media who defend James at every turn. Ali was connected to a religious sect, the Nation of Islam, and was counseled by Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad. James has no discernible religious faith or affiliation. He's counseled by a cadre of agents and handlers. Ali competed in the sport that is the ultimate test of masculinity. James has popularized flopping in a sport that has been stripped of its masculinity. Ali risked imprisonment over his religious convictions when he refused induction into the military draft. James has risked nothing. LeBron James is an inauthentic brand, a man who does the bidding of a global apparel company. Ali epitomized authenticity, a man who believed his actions would truly inspire and uplift Black Americans. In 1996, when Muhammad Ali lit the Olympic torch in Atlanta, it symbolized the end of Ali's feud with America. It was a negotiated peace settlement between two adversaries. LeBron James carrying the Team USA flag at this year's Olympics symbolized that sellouts rule in a country run by frauds and sellouts. That's my fire starter. I'm going to bring TJ Moe and Steve Kim into the conversation. Before I do that, I want to talk with you guys about our great friends. And part of our mission here at Fearless is our support of preborn. You guys know how I feel about preborn. You know that I believe it's the greatest organization supporting our worldview that life begins at conception. Preborn does this by providing expectant mothers ultrasounds that introduce that woman to her baby in the womb through a heartbeat, through an image. Once she's given that ultrasound, she is now more than twice as likely to choose life. And that's when preborn steps in and steps up and provides her with the care she needs throughout the pregnancy and the first 2 years of that baby's life outside of the womb. Our money goes to fund ultrasounds, goes to pay for diapers and food and clothing and cribs and all the essentials that a baby needs. Whether it's $28, which pays for one ultrasound, or $140, which pays for 5 ultrasounds, your money goes directly to the benefit of expectant mothers. We help them get through the pregnancy. We help them get through the first 2 years of life of that baby outside of the womb. There's 2 ways to give. Pound 250, say the keyword baby, pound 250, keyword baby, or you can give the way that I prefer to give. Go to visit preborn.com/fearless. That's preborn.com/fearless. Steve Kim, TJ Moe, next.
First pitch, baby. First pitch.
About the size of a quarter.
Gosh, Henry, you can play for the Cubs.
Yeah, 모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 reason that I'm back is to feed you raps. I see that you up here below. So fly.
All right, welcome back. Time for some Steve Kim and TJ Moe. Jack Frost. That's my new nickname for you, Steve Kim. The Asian Jack Frost. Steve, I have to admit, success with the hair. The total transformation, it was a good call. I questioned you. It was a good call.
You know, Jayson, you and your staff are real team players. We need to come clean here. We have to be honest with the Fearless audience across the world. We didn't take time off because of some wedding. We took time off to let this grow in fully. And you know what? The charade is now over. We can be honest about it. And I'm looking at this right now on this other screen. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, this thing is looking better than Phoebe Cates getting out of the swimming pool during that iconic scene at Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I mean, but our timing was terrible. I mean, forget about what happened 2 weeks ago. Friday, I'm hanging out, doing what I do, getting ready for a big weekend of doing nothing. And I'm watching on Twitter, and I'm seeing this debauchery going on at France. And I wasn't reading the captions, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. They're doing a Democratic National Convention on a Friday night? That is highly unusual, but we missed all of it. I am glad to be back, though, fellas. Glad to be back.
It's good to be back, and that's why we're starting with LeBron James and being the flag bearer, and Dan Le Batard comparing him to Muhammad Ali. What could be more up Steve Kim's alley than the Korean Kohls alley than an analogy of LeBron James to Muhammad Ali? And look, 10, 15 years ago, I thought it was a possibility that LeBron James could be in the conversation with Muhammad Ali. But I think in 2024, nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing could be more laughable than comparing him to Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, TJ, my sources in the NFL say to combat this, Colin Kaepernick will now flip the coin toss for the Super Bowl next February. Look, here's the thing that gets me, and I saw the clips with Le Batard, heaping praise on LeBron. I'm beginning to think that show has been bought up or is now a partner with Clutch Sports. I do not understand this. In my view, LeBron James is a very polarizing figure. I will not argue his greatness as an athlete, as a basketball player, and even his influence. All of that to me is undeniable. Okay, he's among the all-time greats. And when the league does not have his services, I think they're going to go through a spell to try and fill his Nikes. However, with that said, when I think of the Olympic Games, I have indelible images of people, and specifically when it comes to our great country, that love America. And it really meant something. And Jason, I listened to your show yesterday. You know, one of the first images I have of an Olympics since 1980 was boycotted, at least the Summer Games by President Jimmy Carter. I recall as a young person living in Valencia, California, watching the opening ceremonies at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. And the man that was selected to really light the torch as the final leg of that was the great Rafer Johnson, who was a decathlete out of UCLA, and how regal he looked, a man of dignity and pride, who loved America. And now we are relegated to LeBron James and Snoop Dogg being embedded into our coverage. I don't get it, but I get it. I understand the agenda that they are playing here and the messaging. But you ask half of America what they think of LeBron James, I guarantee you it would not be a positive reaction.
So there's that, and that's one aspect of it. What do you think? Let's dial the clock back to 2010. I don't think sports fans have fully recognized what the decision did to LeBron's brand and what that meltdown against the Denver Mavericks did to LeBron James's brand. I do think, and I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt, those two things just destroyed Nike and what they had planned for LeBron James. He was going to rival Michael Jordan, and it's like, wow, he just made a fool of himself with the decision, and now he just embarrassed himself on the court. He hurt himself off the court and on the court with the decision and the meltdown against the Mavericks, and they went to, hey, plan B, we got to make this guy this great social activist. Do you buy that narrative?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. Prior to 2010 and that decision, that ill-fated situation, that was a made-for-TV moment. I believe Jim Gray was opposite him at some YMCA in whatever city. Look, he forever hurt the NBA in a sense that it used to be about building a team and creating your own legacy. And now it comes out in other videos that have been released within a week or two that this guy really wanted to stack his team. I mean, stack his team to a point where it's more than just Lethal Weapon 3. He literally wanted a whole all-star game and to create the Avengers where the competitive imbalance was going to be forever altered. Not only that, then you have his political and social stances, which have grinded the gears of a lot of people, including you, me, and TJ for sure, but a lot of America, specifically in the flyover states. The other thing I think is really interesting is that his actual play has been sterling, but when you force the agenda, and a lot of this is being done by the mainstream media, that he's better than Michael Jeffrey Jordan. It's funny that that's the thing that people really push back on and are offended by, because as someone that saw his whole career, I just begin to think, well, wait a minute. And again, it raises the suspicion again, Jason, can we trust the mainstream media when you have this hit piece on his defensive stats from 1988, which then created a whole cottage industry of people looking at the game film of LeBron James in the years that he thought he should have been the defensive player of the year. I just really think it's interesting how LeBron James will probably go down as the most disruptive and maybe disliked all-time great maybe in American sports history.
TJ, LeBron is flag bearer. Do anything for you?
Oh, I hate it because I don't think he likes America. I don't think somebody who hates America should be representing America and holding our flag as the icon who's doing so. What I was thinking, though, is we're talking about him as an activist. They made the pivot in 2010 when we had a black president. And all of his stuff has been geared towards social activism and, I don't know if my son's coming home tonight. And that the police may just mow him down. And even as a James, we're in an era where there aren't any activists. Everybody just pretends. The only activists that exist are those fighting abortion. That is it. If history were honest at all, they'd say the only group being truly marginalized today are the babies that don't get to talk about it. And that's it. And so at some point, if we ever get over this abortion obsession in America, and it certainly doesn't look like we're getting over it anytime soon, we would look back and say, okay, whoever was going out on a limb to fight against abortion, that's the real activist, the only body putting anything on the line because it's severely unpopular today. It's terribly politically unpopular.
There's some young black woman going to prison for 3 years. Bevelin, I think is her name. Just in the news cycle here in the last week or so.
For staying outside an abortion clinic.
For staying outside an abortion clinic,
yes.
Yeah.
And so those are the only real activists. That's the only social justice warrior that exists. LeBron is just a pandering fool. Why would I want him representing America?
Well, it says something about where America is. And so the people running the country, the zeitgeist, the politicians, the puppet masters, they're rewarding frauds and sellouts and people with inauthentic brands.
And I thought my argument was going to be, because I care so little about the Olympics, I've never cared less about the Olympics than I do right now. But the ratings suggest otherwise. Over 40 million people watch Simone Biles do her gymnastics. They're up 79% from 2021 ratings. I mean, the ratings are crushing it right now. So there's a lot of people who do care about these Olympics.
Wow, that I was not aware of that. That blows my mind. Steve, what do you think of that? That there's this massive interest in the Olympics? Do you buy that?
Well, I think people like the actual athleticism and the athletes or certain ones. And Simone Biles is an icon in that realm. And she's someone that we care about once every 4 years. And when it comes to the actual sports, whether it's boxing, basketball, gymnastics, and certainly track and field, we still care. I don't think that we can really stomach what happened at the opening ceremonies. I mean, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. There's a part of me that has almost like this demented anticipation for if that was the opening ceremonies, what are they going to do for the close of this doggone thing? Going back to LeBron real quickly, guys, he is such a polarizing figure. I know a lot of Laker fans, and LA, I would say, is a highly liberal city. I'm not the only Laker fan in recess, guys. There's a lot of fans who would rather have him no longer involved with this organization so we can once again represent the purple and gold. And TJ, to your point about LeBron being activism or an activist, you're right. He put his name on a school that he did not fund. He was a part of it. But the other half of the story is no one at that school can basically read at grade level. That's been an abject failure in terms of actually educating young black men and women. The other thing is about his son, based on where they live, is in no danger of never not coming home. In fact, he's probably safer than he's ever been in his own childhood in Akron, Ohio. And that's a great point, TJ, that you make. Today's activism is about tweeting and doing a hashtag and complaining about white people and what happened years ago, but never actually setting down financial or economic roots in the particularly affected areas.
I'm going to this is, of all the conspiracies that run through my head, this is going to be the craziest one. I don't buy the ratings. I don't, and again, I may be just so caught up in my own bias and worldview and think that I'm a reflection of the rest of America. And so I could just be incredibly wrong, but I can't believe that these Olympics are setting records.
Not setting records. They're up a lot from 2021, and they're doing well comparatively to previous.
TJ, weren't the 2021 games kind of like a rain-out makeup for the 2020 games that were canceled?
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
I mean,
they
we're
were,
in a different place, so it's a little different.
It is. They're still stacking up well, it appears, to the others. So over the first 34.5 million people over the first 3 days. That's their average. And now, where your point may be correct, though, Jason, is streaming is catching on in a different way, and they're doing an aggregate rating system.
That's right.
So
out of market or out of home deal. Everything is up because they're now came up with this new system of counting viewers.
Yes, and so not only the aggregate out of market, that's for the Nielsen ratings, but now they're adding in what they're calling the Adobe analytics, which is their streaming numbers with Peacock. Now, they're still hitting all-time high numbers in Peacock outside of, I think it's their second and third highest streaming ever. So they're doing quite well on that. But the one thing you can't compare it to last year because streaming existed last year. It's every 4 years, in this case 3 years for the Olympics. And so you can't go back and say, well, in 2012, there wasn't really streaming in 2012 like this. And so that's why it is different. The point is, though, when you get 41 million people watching, that is something. So there's a lot of people watching Simone Biles do the beam.
It is, but it's not an apples to apples comparison in percentages and all that other. So
similar to 2012, not apples to apples, but the people that they're telling us. 2012 was 35 million average over the first 3 days.
Yeah, but that may have been 50 million if they counted the out of home watching and all this other stuff they've added on to now. I'm suspicious of any and all that, and that again, that could be my bias, and it could be just like I foolishly think I represent, but I just don't. And I hate to go here, but I gotta say it. Is there a lot of conversation over social media about this Olympics? I'm not seeing any of that.
Jason, the only Olympic story that I really saw, obviously the NBA players struggling with South Sudan. That got a lot of traction for a couple of days. The only thing that really caught my eye on my timeline, and Jason, the only person more disinterested in the Olympics than you is me, okay? But I did see something today that Simone Biles' significant other, the guy they call The Catch, Jonathan Owens, I guess is missing training camp. And there was a bit of a story that he's flying out to Paris right now to watch Simone do her business. Hopefully she doesn't quit this time around. I want you to bring it home, Simone. Remember, quitters never win, winners never quit. So bring home that gold medal, and then Jonathan Owens is probably back on the bubble with the Green Bay Packers. But that's not the only thing that's really caught my eye on Twitter.
There's one other thing, but it's funny you mentioned that. I don't like that this man isn't taking off work to go watch her. And again, maybe it's the sexist pig in me. I don't know, but I'm not a fan of this.
I'll tell you one thing.
You take off work. A man takes off work to go watch his woman jump around on a mat.
Ooh, that's a tough one. You're at the
Lombardi
Olympics.
would never allow.
I would take off work to go watch my
grave.
wife at the Olympics. That's it.
You'd be fired as well, TJ.
Well,
Yeah.
if my wife's at the Olympics, I might not need the job.
I mean, Jason, you are right. I mean, look, Jonathan Owens is a solid player. He's not exactly Leroy Butler here. I'm really wondering if they're not telling him, like, hey, go ahead, do what you need to do. But, he's a nickelback. He's not an all-pro. He's not even Terrell Buckley here. Let's be honest about his role on the team. I really wonder in the back of their minds are thinking you are kind of hurting your chances to make this club moving forward.
This is OTAs or this is the mandatory training camp?
No, they're in training camp right now.
They're in training camp now.
The training camps have started. Oh my God, you're getting old, TJ.
I am getting old.
TJ,
It's July 30th, bro.
Training camp's happening.
It's training camp. Listen, I can. Owens is with the Bears, by the way, but I can get.
Oh, okay. All right.
I can get. Hey, my wife is having a kid. I'm skipping the game. We're having a kid. I get it. I can. My wife has some sort of medical issue. She's in the hospital. Hey guys, I'm out. Blah blah.
Well,
go jumping around on a mat that I can watch on TV. I have to be in the room in order to support her. And again, maybe she is that fragile. I mean, we've seen her quit.
She is that fragile. And she walked out of the Olympics.
Yeah, and he has to be. But
well, Jayson,
anyway,
hold on.
You've got. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I haven't really delved into my Sharp Football Analysis magazine yet. It's okay. So he's with the Bears, so he switched teams. Guys, that's even worse. So the first impression you're going to make to a new franchise is, hey, guys, don't worry about the two-a-days or the gassers or the up-downs. I'll be doing some jumping jacks out here by the Eiffel Tower. Okay, it's your career.
He knows he can get away with this because he's going to support a black queen in Paris, and he's black, and so it can't be questioned. So he doesn't need to be Aaron Rodgers, who did something, skip practices, OTAs or whatever, to go to Greek or Greece or Egypt or wherever he went. He's 2, 3, 4-time MVP. He gets away with that. Here's a nickelback that's leaving Chicago, but I'm going to support my black queen. I dare you to cut me.
Matt Eberflus is the coach over there. I know Matt. Matt might cut him.
No.
Woo!
I know the president of the team, Kevin Warren. He was my agent. He's as woke as they come.
Yeah,
but I'm saying
he would.
He's got to make the team still.
Man,
Eberflus is a guy who sleeps in the office and has since he was at Mizzou.
And reports into Kevin Warren.
I get
who used
you.
to run the Big Ten.
Optics.
Who has been
TJ
installed
Optics.
and is.
But everybody already thinks he's not that good. So it's
Jonathan Owens.
Jonathan Owens.
Yeah, but his calling card is, I'm married to one of America's black queens.
Sure, and somebody else might pick him up, right? But I'm just saying, if you cut him, my first thought wouldn't be, they cut him because he went to Paris. You're like, it's because he kind of sucked, and the only reason anybody knows his name is because it's Simone Biles' husband.
I can't believe we went here. I wasn't anticipating it, but it is far more interesting than I thought. Hey, hold for a second. I got some other topics I want to get to. Before I do, Steve, let me talk to you about our great friends at Good Ranchers. The summer games are here, and there's no better way to show your support for America than with a delicious meal made from 100% American meat. GoodRanchers.com is the #1 place to get gold medal quality meat that supports real American farms and speaks to the excellence of the US of A. And right now, you can go for gold yourself by subscribing to Good Ranchers. They're giving all new subscribers a free gold medal add-on for the next 4 years. You can enjoy free plain chicken breast, Angus ground beef, applewood bacon, or wild-caught salmon in every order for the next 4 years or until the next summer games. Plus, with my exclusive code, you'll get an additional $25 off your first box. That's up to $1,200 in savings when you subscribe. Use my promo code FEARLESS at checkout to claim $25 off your first box, free express shipping, and your free add-on for 4 years. If you needed any other reason to support Good Ranchers, they're not only amazing partners of this show, but they support paralyzed veterans of America, too. Every order saves American farms, supports American veterans. If you're proud to be an American, then Good Ranchers is for you. Root for Team USA while enjoying the world's best meat that's born, raised, and made right here from local farms and ranches in the US of A. Remember to use my code FEARLESS to claim this Summer Games special and save big while supporting American farms. GoodRanchers.com, American meat delivered. Steve, there's a bit of controversy on Team USA's basketball team. Jayson Tatum did not play in game one. And they won comfortably, but Jayson Tatum, the Boston Celtics champion, did not play. I think he was the only player that didn't play. Let's watch Steve Kerr explain why he didn't play Jayson Tatum.
You guys play your best game of the whole summer to this point, but you didn't get to use Jayson Tatum, who's obviously one of the best players in the league. Obviously, that's one of the hard things to do in your role.
Yeah, it's tough, but Jayson handled it really well. I talked to him today before the game that it may play out this way, just with Kevin coming back and the lineups that I wanted to get to. But that'll change. You know, Jayson's going to play. Every game's going to be different based on matchups. He's a total pro. He's, you know, first team All-NBA 3 years in a row. I felt like an idiot not playing him. But in a 40-minute game, you can't play more than 10. You really can't. And, you know, so I think he's an amazing guy, great player, and handled it beautifully. And, you know, he'll be back out there next game.
Steve, before I get to you, I want to show you Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins. They're quite upset with Steve Kerr. Let's play Stephen A. and then let's play Kendrick Perkins.
The reigning, defending NBA champion, Jayson Tatum. And you can't find minutes in a 26-point lopsided victory. You can't find 1 minute. I'm trying to get away from cussing because, you know, I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I'm a decent human being that loves the Lord, and my pastor's watching me sometimes, and I know he gets mad at me when I cuss. But Steve Kerr, that's some straight bullshit.
Okay, if you're Steve Kerr, and Steve Kerr called out all his accolades and what this man has accomplished, you know what Jayson Tatum is going to bring to the table. You do not disrespect him and embarrass him the way that you did. Because in this world today, we live in a world of social media. We can't run from it. We can't hide from it. It's right there in front of our face. And nowhere in here you're going to tell me that Jayson Tatum wasn't embarrassed.
Was Jayson Tatum disrespected here, Steve?
Look, anyone that knows me or has read my Twitter timeline the last 3 days knows I am not a fan of Steve Kerr. I'm not in any way. However, his job as a basketball coach of the USA team is to put who he believes are the best 5 players out there. And look, it would be a story if Team USA struggled, and then you could say, well, why didn't you play that guy? The fact that they played a pretty strong game and blew him out, well, maybe he had the right combination for that particular game. Guys, this is not Little League. This is not Pop Warner football where everyone has to play. Even though this is certainly not the 92 Dream Team, there's a lot of talent, and there's going to be certain guys that are left out. And Steve Kerr mentioned this. International ball is 40 minutes. It's not 48. You're not going to have elongated rotations. Okay, now maybe it was an oversight that he didn't put him in during garbage time, but Jason and TJ, I can make an argument. If you put in Jayson Tatum in the last 4 minutes of a game that's a blowout, that's probably more disrespectful than maybe not playing him. And one other thing, could you imagine someone in 1984 asking the great, late Robert Montgomery Knight, hey, coach, why didn't you put in Leon Wood in this game? It's just, look, it's a non-story to me that's being blown up for whatever reason.
Yeah, too much is focused on disrespect. This whole thing we have in black culture and all black commentators, everything is, did someone so respect me, disrespect me? I can't be dissed. It's much ado about nothing. The guys on the team, not everybody's going to play every game. He was first man up to get set out. Nothing to whine about, nothing to see here. TJ?
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to like, I care so little about the Olympics. They were up by 19 at the end of the third quarter. There was nothing here that mattered. They've won 7 out of 8 Olympics since pros started playing. It's just such a non-story. Stephen A. saying, this is a guy coming off a championship. Who cares? What does the championship have to do with whether he should be playing or Kevin Durant should be playing?
Kevin Durant, who went 8 of 9 from the field, hit his first 8 shots on fire. Yeah, sit him down.
And you played 10 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
TJ, I just want you to let you know, as someone that you're not exactly an Olympic connoisseur, on Thursday night we have the Hall of Fame game. And the Bears are going to be playing. I don't know if Jonathan Owens is going to be in front of that TV, but you should be, okay? Just for a couple hours. Just letting you know. Programming reminder.
Yeah, were you done?
Yeah, it's such a disappointment if the United States loses, I don't know how many people are watching it. 10.9 million people watched the game, ratings said. So there were some people watching, again, just because they're on television, you got to watch something. And that Caitlin Clark wasn't on, and so you might as well turn something on. And you notice Jayson Tatum wasn't playing. Who cares? And he's a St. Louis guy. We did radio shows at his high school when he was playing at Chaminade. I like the guy, halfway. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know I don't care. This is much ado about nothing. But
Jason, I have a question.
Yeah.
If there's a game where the U.S. Olympic team is just struggling, and let's say they're down by 12 after 3 quarters, would you care then to watch? Because I think there's a good portion of America that is looking for them to lose. Because I saw the reaction to the South Sudan game a couple of weeks ago.
Will I watch if they lose? No. The only team that I have on upset alert is if the women's team were down at some point and were losing, I would tune in to root against them. Yes. So
real patriotic there, Whitlock. God bless America, except them.
So that's it. Other than that, there's no one else that would draw my interest. I don't know. Did you see? I saw something where like the women's team, the game the women have played had the smallest crowd of all the other women's games, and so not including Caitlin Clark has already worked out well for them. Steve, before I move on to the next topic, I want to talk with you guys about our friends at Covenant Eyes. There are a lot of companies out there working against you and your marriage or your family. You've heard about them on this show, but here's one company that is on your side. Our friends at Covenant Eyes. Covenant Eyes has been the #1 trusted software for over 23 years for Christians seeking to live a porn-free life. I know pornography isn't an easy topic to hear about, but it must be talked about. It's a silent killer. Porn is damaging marriages, families, and impacting the work of the church by holding people hostage to this secret sin. Maybe you've experienced this in your own life or seen this in the life of someone you love. Victory by Covenant Eyes is a powerful tool that helps Christians who are serious and want to quit porn for good or never start. Victory combines industry-leading technology with decades of experience and leadership in recovery content, accountability, and behavioral change. Scripture teaches us the importance of being accountable. Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. James 5:16 and 16. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. Once installed, the Victory app runs silently in the background of your devices and uses cutting-edge AI technology to watch the screen for behavior that doesn't match your goals. Next, you will invite a trusted friend to be your ally. This is someone that can walk beside you through the ups and downs of recovery. Your ally will get push notifications of any porn use and reminders to have accountability conversations, even if everything is going well. Living a porn-free life will bring you a new freedom to live honestly. And remember, accountability is not others calling you out on your sin, but others calling you up to the person you are in Christ. So what are you waiting for? Anyone can get started on their path to recovery for free by visiting covenanteyes.com using my promo code FEARLESS for 30 days free, or by clicking on the link in the show notes today. Steve, Jaylen Brown and Grant Hill are squabbling. We'll see whose side you're on here. Jaylen Brown, the MVP of the NBA Finals, Boston Celtics. There are 3 members, I believe, of the Celtics on the Olympic team. Jaylen Brown's not one of them, surprisingly. And Grant Hill's been questioned about it, I believe, on the Dan Patrick Show. Let's watch Grant Hill explain what went into the decision-making related to Jaylen Brown.
Did you call Jaylen Brown to tell him or explain this to him?
I spoke to his agent, and, I spoke to his agent. We, I don't know if that was before or after, things went out on Twitter. But yeah, I mean, I think this idea that there's a conspiracy theory, I always love a good conspiracy theory, but it was really truly a basketball decision, and these are tough decisions, but having gone through this with the FIBA competition, you want to find the right balance and the right pieces on the court that we needed. And not to say that he wouldn't have been good. There's a lot of guys. You can go on a list of guys who are very capable and very, very, very qualified. But, for where we were, it was the right decision. And Derek White, I think, will help us as we pursue goal.
So that was Grant Hill explaining why they picked up Derek White, a member of the Celtics, great defender, great role player for the Celtics. And as we've already seen and just discussed, if you bring in too many stars, someone's going to get disrespected if they don't get the minutes. So and again, I have a bias. I'm a huge Grant Hill fan, as just as a person and what he represents. So maybe I have a bias. But Jaylen Brown, not a fan of Grant Hill, and tweeted out, "Grant Hill calling me a conspiracy theorist is disappointing. I've been a VP since I was 21 years old, and I have a great understanding." Grant Hill did not call him a conspiracy theorist. He said he said there's a lot of conspiracy theories about what we did. Anyway, Steve, whose side you on here? Grant Hill, Jaylen Brown?
Well, I'm incredibly biased. I wish Grant Hill would have just called him a fake activist. I think that would have been very apt. But, I think you bring up a good point, Jason. When you are putting together what is a veritable all-star team, not everyone's going to have the opportunity to have plays called or have the basketball in their hands a lot. You're going to need some guys that are going to be the dig ditchers. And maybe, and I'll take Grant Hill at his word. I've always thought of Grant Hill as a very honorable, intelligent human being.
Who
and if
are
they
dig
needed a role play, guys who play a role. That's
you mean
basically
ditch diggers?
Ditch diggers, yeah. Kurt Rambis. Not every Laker could be an all-star. You needed a.
You didn't want to say diggers because you didn't want people to mistake that maybe you were saying something else.
No, not really. But now that you bring it up, I'm glad I didn't go there, but you did. Let's make that very clear. But I'll take Grant Hill at his word. I don't really know. I mean, Jaylen Brown's got more important things to do, doesn't he? Like fixing society and culture and fixing white society. I mean, why would he waste his time on more basketball?
Closing the wealth gap.
Yes, that's a big thing by going to corporate America. That's what he's doing. He's going to close the wealth gap and bring everyone together by begging for donations from corporate America. I wonder how that's working out.
I think Grant Hill was calling him a conspiracy theorist. Remember his Nike tweet?
No, what?
He tweeted that Nike was keeping him off the roster, basically.
Yeah.
Because he's with Adidas, I think, right?
Yep.
That's a conspiracy theory.
Huh.
He was pointing out, hey, man, all the crap that you're selling everybody, don't buy it. That's a conspiracy theory. And you just weren't right for this team. Sorry.
Yeah, but, well, yeah.
That's what it is. A conspiracy. Nike conspired to keep him off because he wasn't representing them.
I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, is what he said. That's not calling someone a conspiracy. That's rejecting a conspiracy. It's not calling someone a conspiracy.
Jaylen Brown put forth himself.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, it's like, now that TJ has pointed out my error, I'm going to switch topics. Steve, Kevin Durant. And he wants some smoke with Keyshawn Johnson and others. Kevin's not afraid to mix it up with people over social media, and he did so after Keyshawn Johnson made this analogy, I think it was on Undisputed. Here's Keyshawn Johnson talking about, Paul Pierce could have did with what Kevin Durant did in Golden State. Let's play the clip.
I put Paul Pierce on the Golden State Warriors with Klay Thompson and Draymond and Steph Curry. You don't think he could do the same shit? I mean, same stuff?
Well, I mean, he was really good,
No, but this my thing is he had the ultimate.
No, he's really good. He was Finals MVP.
He can do the same thing.
I'm not a fan of this in any regards. Just this whole. Listen, Paul Pierce, over the course of an illustrious NBA career, the highest he ever finished in the MVP race was 7th. Kevin Durant won an MVP at age 25 when LeBron James was in his prime at age 29. Kevin Durant finished in the top 5 in MVP voting 6 times. Kevin Durant is a superior basketball player to Paul Pierce, period, end of story. Yes, other people could have played with Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry and won a championship. But that statement doesn't diminish Kevin Durant or Kevin Durant's greatness. I don't blame Kevin Durant for pushing back. Kevin Durant pushed back, and I don't think we have that tweet up, but I retweeted it and was because I think Kevin Durant was like, he made a football analogy showing he's like a real sports fan and saying, look, maybe the Jets should have drafted Jonathan Ogden or Ray Lewis or blah, blah, blah. Why play these theoretical games? I thought it was a great point. Steve, your thoughts here. Keyshawn Johnson, right or wrong, stupid, silly, smart, what?
Well, Kevin Durant felt so strongly about it, he actually tweeted under his own account and not a burner, so that must have got under his skin. Couple of things here. I believe that there's a geographical bias. Look, Keyshawn Johnson's an LA guy, so is Paul Pierce. I believe he went to Morningside High School, which has produced several NBA players. They're on the same show. So, again, I think that guy's trying to stick up for his partner. I love Paul Pierce. He was a real issue. He's one of the better players of his era. However, could he do the things that KD can do? No, he couldn't. KD is an absolute unicorn. Here's a guy that's probably 7 feet tall, although he doesn't want to be listed as such, who could handle the ball and can get off any shot in the half court and find as many creative ways to score as anyone that ever played the game at his size, short of probably Kobe Bryant. Here's the difference. Do I think Paul Pierce, with those players that you mentioned at Golden State in that era, would they have won a title or two? Yeah, probably. But here's the difference. Kevin Durant, for long stretches, and in those series against the Cavaliers, he was the one guy they really did not have an issue or a solution for. Kevin Durant was the number one player. He actually won the MVP in at least one of those series against the Cavaliers, right? I don't think that would have been the case with Paul Pierce. And there's other things that Kevin Durant does defensively and protecting the rim, which I think is actually underrated because of his scoring prowess. So again, this is not a knock at Paul Pierce, but you ask 100 NBA observers that know what they're looking at, I believe at least 99 would say that the superior player, and they're both great, but the superior player out of those two is KD.
I don't know. Are they arguing championships? Because Paul Pierce has one, and he had to go get Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, the greatest shooter of all time, before Steph Curry came in, and KG, a top 5 power forward of all time. Like, what is the argument here? I don't even understand. What's Keyshawn talking about?
That's a really great point because it's like Paul Pierce had 2 great, all-time great players beside him and couldn't accomplish what KD accomplished with Golden State. That's a great point. Yeah, someone should. Well, no one's going to point that out.
That was a good team, actually. Sam Cassell was on that team. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Jason,
Rondo.
let's take a look at this, TJ. If you asked 50 former GMs that had jobs from the 2000s on, because I believe Paul Pierce's rookie year was late 90s, right, with those really bad Boston Celtic teams at the beginning, I guarantee you that at least 95% of those GMs that worked in the league, that saw a lot of games, that care about this, if you said to him, hey, guys, you have to start your team, A, with Kevin Durant, or B, Paul Pierce. I don't know how many of them would take Pierce, all things being equal.
None.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Great job. Justice for TT. Next. Barack Obama went down in history, according to Newsweek, as the first gay president.
No, Michelle is a tramp.
Kamala is going to go down. Maybe they'll call her the first transgender president, sitting on the couch with all the transgender.
Right?
They're saying like, hey, I don't like how you made me, God. I'm going to decide better. I'm transgender. I am my own God.
You're bigger idiots than I thought, and I thought you were both the stupidest people I've ever met.
Time for my favorite part of the show, Justice for TT. And we're seeking justice for Kamala Harris. As I shared with you on yesterday's show, I'm going to share with you again. There was a terrific parody video put out about Kamala Harris, and man, has it sparked outrage. Gavin Newsom, the New York Times, everybody wants justice for TT, Kamala Harris, because she's been wronged by this parody video. Let's play the clip.
I, Kamala Harris, am your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time, and there is such great significance to the passage of time.
Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa, and in my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression.
So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
And okay, look, maybe my work addressing the root causes of the border crisis were catastrophic, but my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking.
The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. It is an alliance that is strong and enduring.
And just remember, when voting this November, it is important to see what can be, unburdened by what has been. And by what has been, I mean Joe Biden. You think the country went to over the past 4 years? You ain't seen nothing yet.
So, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, very upset about this. He tweeted out, manipulating a voice in an ad like this one should be illegal. I'll be signing a bill in a matter of weeks to make sure it is. He directed that at Elon Musk. Everybody's upset with Elon Musk because he retweeted the video. And everybody's upset and they want justice for TT, Kamala Harris. Well, I wanted to go directly to the source. The content creator, the social media feed that put this together is called Mr. Reagan. It's run by a guy named Chris Kohls. Chris, welcome to Fearless. I want to get a little bit of how long you been doing memes? When did you come up with this one? How did you do it? And are you angry or sad that Elon Musk is taking all the heat and not you?
Oh, it's funny. Actually, I tweeted out that Kamala Harris's campaign actually produced some kind of a response to my video, and they said something like, they want Kamala Harris's truth and freedom and all this nonsense. And they don't want Donald Trump and Elon Musk's fake manipulative lies or something like that. And I wrote underneath their response, I wrote, whoa, they're my fake manipulative lies. And Elon Musk was kind enough to respond to that, and he wrote, yeah, exclamation point. So I thought that was quite cool. Look, Elon Musk just thought that the video was funny, right? That's all it was. He thought it was. He saw the parody. He thought this is funny. He tweeted it out, went viral. I couldn't be happier about it. Absolutely fantastic. He's getting a lot of heat because he didn't write parody on it. But the reality is they know this is parody. They know this is a joke. They know it's satirical. When they say that they think that Elon Musk is trying to mislead the public, that's actually the lie. They're misleading the public by trying to pretend that they think Elon Musk is misleading the public. They're actually lying.
How long did it take you to put this together? Is this your first viral video, or you've been doing this for a while and you just found the right fishing hole this time?
No, the first video that I did that was a kind of like a parody type of a video was about the the Gillette ad. I don't remember that. A few years back, Gillette produced this ad, which is basically like, men are toxic. You can do better, men. And it was so crazy because that's your primary customer base. You go, what are you doing, right? So I made this Gillette parody ad that went a bit viral, and that was the first thing that really blew up my channel. Then I did this video called The Brains Behind AOC, where I exposed AOC as a sort of puppet for this group called the Justice Democrats, and the rest is history. My channel was doing relatively well for years. YouTube has me suppressed. I'm shadow banned to the hilt, but I'm still putting out videos, and this one was lucky enough to go mega viral. This went kind of like nuclear, which is fantastic because my buddy texted me right after. He goes, I think you may have just single-handedly ended Kamala Harris's campaign.
Obviously, I just shared with the audience. The thing is phenomenal, and it's so cleverly done. Chris, you call yourself Mr. Reagan, so I would imagine you're a hardcore, staunch Republican. You're a political partisan.
Oh, yeah. No, I picked that name for a reason. I wanted everyone to know exactly who I was right when they saw the branding. Mr. Reagan. I am a Reagan-esque type conservative. I believe in old-fashioned conservative values, and I'm a big supporter of Donald Trump.
You don't look old enough to be Ronald Reagan. Were you in grade school in a crib in diapers during Ronald Reagan's presidency?
Yeah.
How did you become such a huge Reagan fan?
Yeah, no, I was a kid. I'm actually a little bit older than you might think. I'm 44 years old, so I was around for Reagan's entire presidency, both terms of his presidency, and he just had this kind of way about him that was both intelligent as well as endearing and charming. He really reminded me of my grandfather. He actually kind of looked a little bit like my grandfather. The 80s were a great time. The 80s were a time where there was a bit of excess, a bit of materialism, a bit of, sort of darkness in the world. But there was this great contrast between that and I would say like maybe the evangelical movement. There was this big push in the 80s for people to be more Christian and, have traditional values and, respect old-fashioned ideas. And I just think it was a great time to be alive. And I think we've just moved too far away from that. And that's kind of what the MAGA movement is, isn't it? It's make America great again, bring back those traditional values, bring back those great things that we miss about the olden days.
What's your take on the New York Times and the way they've handled this story and turned it into a big deal? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm about to put out a video addressing that entire article. That was nuts. Look, it's not just the New York Times now. NBC has come out. ABC came out. ABC was actually very fair. The reporter contacted me personally, and we discussed it, and they were much more fair. But a lot of these news agencies, they've gone nuts, especially like the local NBC affiliates and stuff. They're basically saying that, the same thing. It's the same, Democrats, they get this idea in their head. Oh, this is the message. This is what we have to say. It doesn't matter if it's true. It doesn't matter if it's even remotely true. They'll just keep parroting it until they believe their voters believe it. And in this case, what they're parroting is that Elon Musk is trying to lie to the public. They're using AI. They're using this deep fake technology to try to mislead the public. Now, you guys, I made a joke. All right. I have Kamala Harris say in the video, I am a deep state puppet, right? I am a diversity hire. Joe Biden taught me to hide my total incompetence, right? I don't think a 6-year-old would not watch this and think that it was a real Kamala Harris ad. Of course, it's obviously a joke. So they're all being disingenuous. And the fact that Gavin Newsom has come out and said, I'm going to make a law banning this kind of thing. So what are you going to do? You're just going to violate the First Amendment? I don't get that. It's just craziness to me. The left overreacts to everything. Why? Because they don't have any real policy ideas. They know Kamala Harris is going to get her butt kicked in November, and so they're panicking. They're trying to do anything they can to get attention, you know?
Two-part question. We'll end on this note. How important is viral media, social content clips in a political race? And then two, and asking as a journalist, are you backed, promoted by the Republican Party or any politician or Elon Musk, or is Chris Kohls a solo act?
Chris Kohls is a solo act. Although if the Republican Party or Trump or Elon Musk wants to pay me, I'm happy to let them. But no, this is all just my ideas. Listen, I do think that viral videos and entertaining content is absolutely key. And think about this for a second. How did Kamala Harris rise to prominence? And I'm talking about post Willie Brown days. We won't get into that.
Okay.
But I mean, you know what I'm saying. So, but but when she was doing the whole Kavanaugh thing, right? When Kavanaugh was in those hearings and they were trying to, figure out whether he had attacked this woman by pushing her on the bed when he was 14 and not doing anything. She went after him viciously in those hearings. And why did she do that? Because of Instagram, because of social media. She wanted those little moments. And now look at this woman, totally incompetent, totally unqualified, word salad city, and she is potentially going to be the next president. And I will say this to you, I actually predict, and I predicted this several times, I'm often on Newsmax with Sebastian Gorka, and I predicted this several times on many different platforms. I believe that the October surprise that we're looking for is going to be Joe Biden is going to step down and Kamala Harris is going to become the next president of the United States of America. Why? Just to control the news cycle. I think Trump is so dangerous controlling the news cycle that having the first woman of color president will absolutely saturate the news, take up all the oxygen. Donald Trump will be eclipsed. And they're hoping that that will lead into a Kamala Harris victory. I don't think it will, but I think that that's a strategy they're going to use. That's my prediction.
And to that, I would say be careful what you wish for. And I'm talking about the Democrat Party.
I'm not wishing for it. I'm not wishing for it.
No, I'm talking about the Democrat Party. They're playing.
Right.
They need to be careful what they're wishing for because she could make such a mess in that between October and November 5th that it could blow up in their face.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Chris, thank you so much. Continue the great work. Thanks for making the time. We're going to continue the fight for justice for TT. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Jones Plantation, but in order to understand our justice for TT movement, you got to watch this movie. It's tremendous. You have the right kind of sense of humor for the movie. You'll get it. It's awesome. So justice for TT. Thank you for participating. We're going to get Kamala Harris the justice she deserves. And thank you guys for watching. We'll play some tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came in like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna